Hello, welcome to this lesson where we're going to look at percentages. So we're going to start by looking at what percentage actually means. So we have here in the middle this word, cent. Now you may straight away think of dollars and cents. We have $1 equals 100 cents. And we have a similar thing here. A percentage is a number always out of 100. So it's out of, if we have 100%, so if we have 100%, we have the whole thing. This is like having 1 over 1 as a fraction or just 1 as a decimal. It's where we have everything. If we had a percentage smaller than that, we're going to have less than the whole thing. So if we have smaller than 100%, we're going to have less than the whole thing. Yeah, so that could be a percentage like 13%, or a fraction like 1/5, or a decimal like 0.13. All of these are numbers which are less than the whole thing. So when our percentage is less than 100, we have less than 1. But if we had up here greater than 100%, so that's a percentage like 253%, we have more than a whole thing. In fact, we have 2 full whole things in this percentage here, 0.53. Or we could have a fraction similarly, this is close enough, 2.5. So percentage is just relating to this 100 here, just like a cent in our dollars do. So we're going to begin by looking at what percentages are, or how we would write our percentages as fractions. So if we had a percentage, triangle percent is the same as writing that number over 100. So if we had 33%, that would be the same as writing 33 over 100. So here we have some examples. So if we were asked to find what 25% is as a fraction, we would just have to write 25 over 100, which then you may notice we can simplify down to 1/4. This is a number that you should be able to remember pretty easily. 1/4 is 25%. Now, I'm going to give you a moment to work out what 50% is as a fraction. Okay, so as before, we just write 50 over 100. And now we can simplify that down. You might see straight away we've got 2 zeros here. We have 5 over 10. And then you may realize that can be simplified further. Or you may have just gone to 1/2 straight away. So the answer here is 1/2. Now I'm going to give you a moment to work out what 80% is as a fraction. Okay, so to work out what 80% is as a fraction, again, 80 over 100, we'll get 8 over 10, and we'll get 4 over 5. So that's what 80% is as a fraction. Now, fractions as percentages, we're doing a similar thing, so we need to get our number over 100, because if we have a number over 100, so we have a triangle over 100, then we can just say that that's triangle percentage. So we need to get the number down here in our example to be 100. So if we want to get 100 down here, we have to work out what do we have to times by to get 4 to 100. Now you could use your calculator to work this out, or you can just realize this is going to be 25. So if we're multiplying the top by the bottom, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do the top. So times 25, and we're going to get 75 over 100. So this is what our fraction becomes if we put it over 100. And now it's as simple as putting 75%. So I'll recap those steps and then I'll let you try these two below. Firstly, we have to work out what we're going to do to make the bottom number, the denominator, 100. And you could work that out by going 100 divided by 4 in your calculator, or on a piece of paper, and you get 25. So we're going to times by 25 down the bottom. So whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So we're going to get 3 times 25, which gives us 75. Then you simply write the top number, this number here, again, and put a percentage after it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment to work out what 1/2 is as a percentage. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We have to put 100 on the bottom. So we ask, what do we times 2 by to get 100? And the answer is 50. So whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. 1 times 50 is 50. So now all we have to do is write our 50 as a percentage. Another practice, try to work out what 4/5 is as a percentage. Okay, again we want 100 as the denominator, so we have to times our 5 by 20. Do the same thing on top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. We get 80 over 100. We're going to end up with 80%. Okay, now we're going to look at how we would turn our percentages into decimals. Now remember, our percentages as a fraction, if we had triangle percent, is going to be triangle over 100. So here, we're going to be able to use our decimal points really easily. If we had 33%, we're going to go 33 over 100. Now remember, this divide sign here means, or this sign here, the vinculum, just means divide 33 by 100. Now, you might remember how to do this. 33 divided by 100. All we're going to do is we have this little decimal point here, and we're going to move the numbers 2 places that way. So we're going to end up with 0.33. So any number, any percentage, which is less than 100%, we're just going to get 0. that number. Now if we had a percentage like 246%, it's going to be 246.0 divided by 100. We're going to move the numbers 2 places to the right, so we're going to get 2.46. Alright, so here's an example. We want to find out what 24 is as a decimal. So, you might instantly realize we can just write 0.24. If you don't, you could do it this way. 24 divided by 100. So we're going to put our decimal point there to remind us that it's a decimal. Put a 0. And now we're just going to move our places 2 places to the right, because we have 2 zeros here. So we're going to get 0.24. Now you have a go working out what 95% is as a decimal. Okay, so as a decimal, all we have to do is 95, put 0 there, divided by 100. We're going to move our 95 2 places to the right. We get 0.95. Once more, this one's a bit more difficult. What would 120 be as a decimal? Okay, so 120 as a decimal, we're going to do the same thing as we did before. 120.0 divided by 100 is going to move 2 places to the right. So we're going to get 1.2. So this one's a bit tricky because we have a percentage which is bigger than 100. So we're going to end up with, so our percentage is bigger than 1 whole thing. So our answer here is going to be bigger than 1 whole thing as well. Okay, finally we're going to look at how we turn our decimals into percentages. So here we can write our decimal out. So remember, when we're turning it from percentages into decimals, we're dividing our number by 100. So if we want to go the other way, we're going to do the opposite thing. So the opposite of divide is times, and we get times 100. So we read out a decimal, 0.74 times 100. This is going to be our percentage. So we're going to end up with, when we times by a decimal by 100, we move the numbers 2 places to the left. So we end up with 74%. Now you have a try at working out what 0.23 is as a percentage. So to work out what our percentage is, we simply write 0.23 times 100. Remember, it's a percentage. And we're going to get 23%. So now can you work out what 3.271 is as a percentage? This one is very difficult for two different reasons. I'll give you a moment to try. Okay, so to work this one out, like before, 3.271, we're going to times by 100, and it's our percent. So equals, now remember when we times a decimal by 100, we move our numbers or our digits 2 places to the left. So we're going to end up with 327.1%. Now this one is a bit difficult because we had a decimal which was bigger than 1, so we're going to end up with a percentage bigger than 100%. And we also had 3 decimal places here, which meant that our percentage was going to end up having a decimal in it as well. So I hope that has made sense to you all. If it doesn't, come and bring your questions to me in class next lesson. Thank you.